Recording. Here we go. All right, welcome to December 4th, 2024 office hours. We come on every week here. Sometimes it might just be me, might be Holly, might be Kevin, but we're all here today. We're going to be just talking a couple minutes on what notes and property fields are. I think we want to make a distinction about this because there's been a change in this. Um, and then we'll just open it up for Q&A. If you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer here. All right. So like I said, I'm just sharing my screen for the sake of just sharing this one title screen here. But I'm gonna pull open, I'm gonna pull up. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, let me just pull open my Pebble account. And I just want to talk about the differences between your notes and your property fields. And I'll let, all right, I'm gonna share the screen here. Kevin, I might need your a little bit of guidance on this. I believe this is still quite new, correct? Or it hasn't been pushed out just yet.
The
Notes.
notes.
Yes,
That's
just
all.
it's
Yep,
already out.
it's all. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, I just wanted to quickly go through your deals and making notes, and I think there's some confusion for people who are used to the old way that things kind of went. Notes live only now on the deal card. Okay. It used to be that notes lived also inside of uh, the property page, correct, Kevin? So this is tied to the deal, right?
Those are there because you had existing notes on the property,
Okay,
so
got
we
you.
we show that if it's there. But going forward, notes will only be available on the deal.
Kevin,
So
do you
the
mind
rule
giving
of
us?
thumb here is
Yeah.
is as soon as a property becomes like a viable thing that I am working on. Think of like a property as just like the information about a property. As soon as you need to start working on that property, whether it's due diligence, whether it's doing, marketing a property, anytime there needs to be something done in relation to that property, we should be creating a deal and then doing any workflow related things on that deal. So adding tasks, adding notes, all of those sort of things.
Awesome. All right. So notes stay with the deal. Now, if you wanted to make note about a property record, what I would suggest is coming down to the property fields and creating a field to make, I don't know, if it's something specific about that property, that's
Mhm.
probably where I would make note about the property. Okay. Not to be
Correct.
confused with notes, but yeah, I would make note about that property. So to make,
Yeah, and this could, as an example, this might be something like a description of the views. You could say like, is this a desert property? Are there mountains in the distance? Like all of these types of things that are specific to that property and they don't necessarily change and they're not part of any sort of like workflow or communication you're having with your team. This is specifically like a thing about this property
yeah.
that then can be we could put that in a custom field there. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I just want to make that distinction there. Remember, a deal contains well, it should contain a property record. So a deal is typically a container for a contact, the notes, the tasks, and the property or properties related to that deal. And that's
Mhm.
how we look at that deal. So when we are managing deal cards, that's what these cards are. They are a container of those few elements together. If you want to drill into the property record and make notes specifically on that property, like Kevin said, maybe the view of the property, you're going to do that in a property field and you can create fields for that. Okay.
Mhm.
Does that make sense here, guys? Yeah. More confused than ever. Okay, Rob, let's start with your question here earlier. You just asked, you're coming over from Follow Up Boss, you're migrating your contacts over. And so currently, what we only support for right now is importing property records. Now, Follow Up Boss is not a property record management system. They are, they're contact based. This is what really sets us apart. So unfortunately, you can't really bring just contacts in at this moment, correct, Kevin? You can bring in property records with contacts attached to that, but I doubt inside a follow-up boss you're going to have like 10,000 or 100,000 of your property records with owners in there. You probably only got your leads in there, correct?
Correct. Right now, active, we have 400-ish. So I was looking for a way to bring those in. I was wondering if I'd need to do Zapier or something. Kind
Rob,
of
in follow-up boss, are you tracking anything related to the property, like its APN, county, that sort of thing?
yeah, some of that stuff. So I was going to do a similar mapping when I brought them in.
Okay. If you can do that, because ultimately each contact you have is ultimately tied to a property.
Right.
So if we can bring that data in and we have enough to also bring in an associated property with like an APN, then that's probably the best way to go going forward, because you're going to want to ultimately have both the contact and their associated property.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I think that answers my next question. And sorry, everybody else, we're very new to switching over to Pebble. But so when you get a buyer that's interested in a property that comes in, regardless of how warm that lead is that a deal? Is that how you set that up so that it's tied to a property? That's what I figured. Okay.
Yes, if they're at all interested, then yes. So that will come into your inbox, similar to follow-up boss's inbox. But then as soon as that person, if they express any sort of interest, then yes, we create a deal for them. That way we can sort of map them along a process of purchasing.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Connor, did you have any questions on your end? It's good to see you. You're good. Okay.
Oh, sorry, all over the place. Jesse, how are you, bud?
Good to see you.
I had a quick question here, and I talked with Holly a little bit about this the other day. Is there any way to view a particular seller just from the contacting standpoint? So if we text messaged them a week ago, we called them 3 days ago, and then sent them an email all from Pebble in the last week, is there a way to view that, how many times we've touched that client from a reach out directly from Pebble CRM? Because we are having problems figuring out when, where, what between me and my acquisitions manager.
So do you have them inside of a deal already? Are they an active deal? I'm assuming so because you're working that.
Correct. Yep. So they're on we create a tile form and throw them under one of the categories. Typically, I know most of these are in negotiations or first offer out.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're trying to figure out where we can see how long they've been called, if they called and didn't answer, emailed didn't answer, text message didn't answer. So
your best bet is going to be checking this sort of tile here where it says conversations to see all the historic conversations. Now, this doesn't include physical mail. It's only going to be your email, text, and phone call and voicemails and whatnot. That the conversations are going to live here. Mailing, if you want to see what it went out with mailing, I guess I would go to the property record here, and check. Kevin, what would you say? Check the timeline here, I guess.
Yeah, so that's a good way to know when they were mailed as part of a campaign. Each contact record does have all of their conversations associated there. So if you go back to the deal, Jesse, if you click into the contact, like click Tracy or Reba there, that contact will have all of their linked deals and a list of all of the times that they've been contacted. So those are all the phone calls.
Oh, right. You can see all the campaigns here as well. Okay.
Campaigns as well.
Will you go back up for me, Jesse? Go to the top of the page. Sorry, I was trying to jump back and forth between my screen and your screen. So
yeah. So if you come to the deal card here and just click the contact's name, you can scroll down to the bottom here. You're going to be able to see all that information on the conversations or campaigns or any other, or if they belong to a follow-up plan as well.
Okay.
And we are going to make that more prominent here shortly. So on the deal itself, you'll be able to see
Yeah.
a list of those conversations. That's coming shortly.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. Because we just got onboarded a few months ago, so most of our time spent trying to work the leads and not try, we're trying to chip away at the Pebble and being a little more efficient where we can. But that was a sticking point for us trying to stay organized on my end. And something I thought I talked with Holly a little bit about, and again, just 2 cents. And I know you guys are always trying to make things, tweak things and make it better. Just an overall activity log. So if there's anything that we can possibly look at, for instance, I have an acquisitions manager that does a lot of the emailing, reaching out, first point of contact with anyone coming into our ecosystem.
Yeah.
But I can't, there's not like if I wanted to see everything he did yesterday, emails, phone calls, text messages, everything that he did yesterday. And then not even just from a micromanaging, just seeing who's been touched and in what way. We were going through and we were like, yeah, maybe some of the notifications and maybe not, but it'd be nice to be able to go in from someone like myself to say, all right, was it a high activity, low
What's been
activity day, and who was touched and how they were touched, for whatever that's worth.
That's a great point. We've talked about this a lot internally, and yes, we are definitely thinking about this. Next year is likely when we're gonna solve this specific issue. We'll likely have some sort of like activity log of just everything that's happening
Awesome.
on behalf of a user, so you can filter that down. And the tricky part is making that like actionable and useful information. Just like spraying a bunch of lines of things is like kind of tricky. So
I get it 100%, and almost organizing it, at least from the way that I would view, how I'd see this coming through is you can almost go by date and just figure out, basically
Yeah.
everything that was happening. If it, tile was moved or to a different, stage or what everything looked like,
Yeah.
it'd be awesome just to have an overall 30,000 foot view.
Sure.
And I know that's, like you said, you guys are something we're working on. But as we were working through some of the processes on our end, those were a few things that came up. But it sounds like you guys are already on the ball, as always. So,
Connor, one thing I'll mention, Connor, I know this isn't an activity log, but under notifications here, under all notification, it does give you visibility on things that you might have missed in sort of like an ordered fashion here too. So, and your team can kind of work through these and archive it as well. I know it's not exactly what you're talking about, but I like this view quite a bit. It gives me an overview of what's happening and things that need to be addressed.
And Jesse, that's a good call. That's as close as we got. But even like on on ours, it just says there's a new message, and it just said that someone texted him back, Chris back, and said I called and some other guy answered, but I don't know what contact, what APN, what county, or any of the information. So you got to go back and kind of reverse engineer who did what. So but again, that'd be incredibly helpful for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey Jesse, I've got to run.
Yeah,
but
no problem.
Thank you everyone for stopping by, and
thanks, Kevin.
Me too. Thanks, boys. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks.
Kyle, do you have any questions on your end there?
Just on average, how long are you seeing like mail to hit people's mailbox? If you could see, like, I know you can't track it from a tracking standpoint, but as far as from when mail says it gets delivered via Pebble to when you start receiving phone calls or text message, whatever it is.
Yeah, so just so you know, every piece does get tracked to whatever is according to USPS. So if I hit view on a piece of mailing, I'm going to be able to see the submission date and the delivery date and so on and so forth. Now, depending on this is first class or priority, I think first standard and first class. So first class is going to give you a little bit more details on when it arrives to the local post office. There's no tracking to the door, obviously. Now, things given the way they are, it's holiday season. You just had the elections. But I would assume with something like standard, with USPS, I don't know, like a week. And then, standard is the longer one. So standard can take up to like 10, 14 days. First class is maybe a week. Holly, I don't know if you know anything more than that. But, to hear back from people, it really depends on the time of the year, your market. There's just a lot of variables that I just don't know what the average would be. Yeah, I mean, it is, you guys went through Thanksgiving just recently. It's now you guys are in this holiday mode. I'm certainly in a holiday mode. So that can make a difference. So Kyle, when did you send out your mailers?
My first mailers went out, I believe, the 26th, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yeah, I think and are you standard or first class?
I'm not sure. I'll have to go in and check that
Yeah,
one.
a 26 is like right before Thanksgiving. I would assume
Okay.
those aren't landing until, and again, you can check when things have been sent and you can have a look at the status there once it says submitted here and hit view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Jody, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is there anything I can help answer here?
Yes. If you have a minute.
Yes.
So my first question is about uploading campaigns.
Yes.
We have different lead sources that we use the same data over and over.
Okay.
But every time, for example, we send letters, we have
Uh-huh.
a texting campaign, and we have a cold calling campaign.
Okay.
And the same data
Yeah.
will get uploaded 3 different times
Okay.
into a campaign so that we can tell, which is, working out the best for us. Should we just get rid of letters? Should we get rid
Right.
of texting?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But our cold calling has the Excel file has to be in a certain way for that.
Okay.
The texting, the Excel file has to be in a certain way for that. The letters, a certain
Yeah.
way. So every time we upload a different campaign type,
Yeah. You're
like
tripling. You're
we're
making
getting duplicate
duplicates.
data.
Okay. Okay. So here's what my thought is on that. So okay. So Jody's situation, Jody, if I'm correct here, and I'm totally cutting you off.
Yep.
Is that you're sending a mailer, texting, and cold calling, let's just say. You've already sent mailing out, and then your cold calling wants a certain format, so you have to take their spreadsheet, upload it back into Pebble, and it's now creating a second record when it should be, you've already got the same property already living
Right.
there.
And there might be some additional data there because now
Yeah.
we've skip traced it for
Right.
phone numbers
Right. So
and emails.
typically what happens, even though you're re-uploading those properties, as long as the APN and the county are the same, we will look for that property record and just update anything that is new that you mapped. It
Okay.
should technically not duplicate it. It's based on the APN and the county. Now, what I see a lot of
both.
times, yes, what I see a lot of times is the APN is formatted differently with one service compared to another. Maybe there's an extra dash or an extra space. This causes a duplication because Pebble's not going to know, oh, is this a unique one or is this the same thing?
Okay.
Okay, so keep that in mind.
So if
Alternative,
we're if we uploaded like our letter campaign and now we're uploading our texting campaign, which adds the phone numbers, it's
Yeah.
just going to
it's just
update
only
the
going to update the
contact
phone.
as well.
Exactly.
But it's probably the same thing. The contact has to read exactly the same.
No, for the contact, like if you're just adding a phone number, it should just update the phone number.
Okay.
If as long as it's like contacts, like there's gonna be times where I can see contacts getting duplicated, but with the property record, it should not be duplicated as long as the county name and well, you don't need to worry about the spelling because you select the county, right? It's just the APN. Make sure it's the same.
Okay.
Another way, Jody, if you want to do it this way, you can always filter down to a past campaign, right? Here's all 389 of a past campaign. I can re-export it all out, send it to my cold calling service, get them to update my list. I know they have got a specific format, and then re-import it back in so you don't screw up the APN numbers. So I think it's best to just make sure that it's the same APN formatting.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Excellent. And thank you. My second question has to do with Zapier and launch control.
Okay. Yeah.
So we notice we have set up Zapier, so our launch control talks to Pebble. However, we're only getting so far. We can only bring in like the name and the phone number. Like we can't get it to read the APN number or, you know, like it's
So and you're pushing that over to Pebble in the inbox?
yes, and Zapier will allow us to even select what stage we want to park it in. It's just that the only thing that comes in with it is the name and the phone number. And sometimes it's different than the you know, name on file, right? Because that's who we ended up talking to or whatever. Is there any way to like add just at least bring in the APN so we know what property we're talking about? Because that piece of information, it doesn't let us select the APN. Now the APN is a field over in launch control. And of course it's a field over in Pebble, but the in-between within Zapier doesn't let us pick that piece of information. So when it goes into Pebble and then my acquisition team, you know, takes over, sometimes we don't have that correct phone number, and they just have a hard time finding the property without going into launch control, and not my whole team knows how to work launch control. It just, there's just like one piece of missing information. And I don't know if I need to talk to Zapier about that.
You know, we once had somebody from the Zapier team come and interview for Pebble, but it's so funny because like one of the trickiest things for Zapier is like, how do we handle support? Is it the starting application? Is it Zapier or is it us? So it's really tricky. Okay. But at the same time, I think you should, if you can pull that into Zapier, the APN into Zapier, you should be able to at least get it into the notes. Get it into the notes section of the deal. Now, it's been a while since I've worked on it. And I don't know if my video is out of date because I could have sworn I went through something like this in this video here.
Okay. We did stumble across the notes over in launch control, and we've been trying to get the launch control team to actually put the APN over in the notes section, so at least it'll come in on the title of the deal card, you know.
So, you know, like as long as it can go into Zapier, and you should be able to map it, but maybe I'm missing something here. And here's what throws the wrench into things. We're sort of working on more of a native integration with them. So I would like for you, I'm sorry, Jody, do you mind like recording what that looks like in terms of us? What I would like to see is from Zapier. I don't like, as long as it's in Zapier, we should be able to get it into Pebble unless I've forgotten something about our Zap. But I want to see from Zapier to Pebble, what do you have wired up? Can you send that as a video? Holly's listening right now, and maybe Holly can get her expertise in there.
Okay,
and
who do
Holly,
I send it to?
just hello at Pebble, and I'm sure Holly will look out for it.
Yep,
Okay.
I will be watching for it, Jody. And if I don't see it right away, I know someone that will be able to figure it out. So we'll be sure we get
Okay,
it figured out for you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I couldn't troubleshoot this on a live call with you.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to bring it up, and maybe there was an easy answer or something we were missing. I don't know.
No, I think we should be able to do it, but I'm not going to guarantee that.
Okay, perfect.
And
Awesome.
Jody, if it isn't me, it might be Andrea that will reach out to you because she gets zaps, I think, best out of anyone right now. So
Awesome.
Throw it my way too, Holly, if you see Jody's.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
All right, guys. Are there any other questions here?
This is very helpful. I'm glad you guys do this on Wednesdays. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say thanks, Jesse.
Oh.
That was it.
Awesome. Great. Well, I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a great December. I'll see you guys around, hopefully, before the new year. But yeah, take care, guys. I'll see you guys around.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.